Yan, good morning. So after ng ating academic break, we're back again sa ating discussion. This time, we will be focusing directly to agriculture. No? We have talked about the past, the history of agriculture, and other things that pertains to the whys of agriculture. Now, we will be talking of agriculture in totality. Actually, it's an industry. An industry is something na nagpo-provide na ng income generation, may pakialam na siya sa ekonomiya ng bansa. Ang mga tao, laborer, ay categorized na siya as agricultural laborer. And then sa gobyerno, lalo na ngayon, pinag-uusapan na anong gagawin sa agrikultura. Ngayon, ang agriculture din ay hindi siya merely planting o kaya ay mag-aalaga ka ng hayop. It has evolved into a science. Meron na siyang pinagbabasihan na science. No? Sa madaling sabi, ang science ay nagsimula muna yan sa mga experiment. Actually, nagsimula muna ang science doon sa tinatawag natin na phenomenon. Mga nauobserbahan na kapag nilagyan mo ang halaman ng ganito, pag pinakain mo ng ganitong hayop, bakit siya ay lumulusog? Bakit siya ay namamayat? Nauobserbahan muna, and then some curious people tried to observe it. And then, magkakaroon sila ng tinatawag na hypothesis o teorya kung bakit kaya nangyayari ito. They need an explanation. So they conducted an eksperimento. Titingnan nila kung kapag ka ba itong experiment natin, inulit natin ng inulit, pare-pareho ba ng lalabas at mangyayari? No? Then, eventually, it becomes a science. So science is based on experiments, on things that will always be true, whatever the situation is. So base sa science. Kaya ngayon, tayo ay pupunta na doon sa the why, bakit nangyayari nito. At we will be basing our discussions on established mga facts, mga katotohanan. And we will also go into a profession because what's the purpose of studying for you? Alang-alamang aral lang ng aral. Sa totoo naman, pag tinanong natin, why are you studying agriculture? Why are people studying engineering? Why are people going into the military? Siyempre, merong sasagot na gusto ko, passion, yan po matagal ko ng pangarap, yan talaga ang bata pa ako. But eventually, you want it to be your profession, meaning dito ka makikilala. Ito yung gusto ko when somebody is asking for your name, karugtong na itong inyong kung ano ka. Agriculturist ako, isa akong animal science major. Ang trabaho ko ay mag-alaga, magpaganda ng farm, ng poultry or piggery. Profession mo yan. Ang profesyon, malalaman mo kung ang ginagawa mo ay base, pag sinabing ginagawa, ito yung iyong pinag-araw-araw, parang trabaho, job. Pero base siya sa iyong academic na pinag-aralan. Okay? Meron kasing ang kanyang ginagawa, hindi yun ang kanyang pinag-aralan. Kunyari, isa siyang engineer pero siya ay nahilig sa farming at iniwanan niya ang kanyang pagiging engineer at siya ay nag-farming. So sa kanya ngayon, hindi niya profesyon ang farming. Pero kung siya ay nangungontrata o kaya siya ang gumuguhit ng mga plano, sa isang kumpanya, empleyado siya, then it becomes his profession. Okay? So kayo ngayon, nakalinya kayo ngayon dito sa agriculture. No? When you graduated and you find a job, then you will have a profession based on agriculture. Okay? So maliwanag yan. Ipinaliwanag natin ang agriculture as industry, science, and profession para maliwanag kung anong ating tinutumbok ngayong araw na ito. So here is a definition ng agriculture. Agriculture is an art. Bakit art? And science or management. Ang science is also a management that deals with the cultivation of crops and the rearing of animals for man's use. Ibig sabihin ito, it refers to all the activities involving the cultivation of the soil. So kanina, cultivation ng crops, pero isinali natin sa agriculture yung underneath, the soil or the production of crops and livestock management to the distribution and marketing. Yan. No? Malimit na itong word na marketing ay nakakalimutan nating pag-usapan. No? But this is very important sa agriculture. That's why some do not like magtinda. No? Gusto lang magtanim, mag-alaga, pero nahihirapan sa marketing. No? Natural yan. Nahihirapang magbenta. Minsan tumitigil na kasi minsan walang bumibili, minsan hindi niya maibenta dahil napakamura ng presyo. So, isinama na ngayon natin sa agriculture ang marketing. In fact, the concept of entrepreneurship revolves around marketing either plants and animal products. Termino naman, yung word na agriculture came from Latin word ager, which means field, farm or land ager, and culture, which means cultivation. Culture, ager and culture. Hindi pag culture kasi ang basa diyan English, pero since this is Latin, you pronounce it culture, cultura. By this, agriculture means field cultivation. However, this is not complete definition of agriculture since agriculture also has to do with animal production. Parang naunang ini-associate ang crops sa agriculture. But later on, siyempre, di natin po pwedeng iwanan ang animals kasi animals now provides majority of our food. As a science naman siya, it deals with food and fiber production and processing. They include the technologies. Technology na ito ang pinag-uusapan natin. Ito ay proven na ito, of soil cultivation, crop cultivation, including harvesting, animal production, and the processing of plant and animal products for human consumption and use. Laging in-associate, ginagawa natin ito for human at isinama rin natin yung animal. Kasi yung feeds. Kasi pagka hindi natin inalagaan yung animals na yan, half of our food requirement provided by animals will be hindi naman lost, but will be deficient. So, yung pagpapalaki ng baboy, pag-alaga ng manok, itlog, ay part and parcel of the agriculture science. A little history ng agriculture as a science. Early knowledge of agriculture was a collection of experiences, as I talked earlier. Experiences, mga napapansin lang, pinomena, ba't kaya? Ba't ganon? Sabi nung isang yung mga talim ko noong napansin ko, kapag panahon ng Nobyembre at mahirap na ang ulan, hindi na talaga siya namumunga ng maganda or kung meron man konting-konti na lang na-harvest ko. So these are collection of experiences. Yun sa akin, napansin ko, pag nagtanim ako ng Pebrero ng kamatis, nag-grow siya, kaso sumapit na yung yung March and April, ganun din, hindi ko na siya mapalaki. Tinry ko na idiligan siya. Kaya lamang too much ang heat, hindi rin makaya. Then, yung experiences na yon ay pinag-aralan. Ano ang pwede natin gawin dyan? Maybe, someone experimented na palagay ko kulang ang idinidilig mo. Why not pag-aralan natin ano ba ang water requirement ng kamatis? So they conducted an experiment, marami yung until they determine, until it becomes part noong siyensya. At ngayon, alam na natin kung ilang liters of water ang requirement, no? Alam na rin natin gaano kalalim ang root system niya. Depende sa halaman, no? Merong deep-rooted, merong mga gulay na hindi kalaliman, ang mga 8 inches lang. Merong spread niya ay palapad ng kalat, no? At nagbabase ngayon dyan ang pag-aalaga. So, experiences, no? Verbally transmitted, na ako kwento-kwento lang, na uobserbahan lang from farmer to farmer. And some of this ancient lore, no? Lore ay kwento, no? Had been preserved in religious commandments. You read the Old Testament, at marami roong mga agriculture na commandments. Huwag kang kakain ng mga hayop na split ang hooves, yung kanyang kuko sa paa. That's why some religious sect do not eat pigs. No? Ang kakainin mo lang yung buo, like cow. Hindi, ano ba ang mga buo? Kaya yung pigs, hindi nila kinakain. So, something like that. Yun ding sabi rin sa Bible na every 7 years na ginamit, every 6 years, yung following year, yung 7th year, ipahinga mo lupa. We call it now fallow. No? But iyan ay hindi na ngayon sinusundan, hindi na fina-follow because of the improvement in science na pwede mong isupplement ng nutrients ang soil mo using modern technologies like commercial fertilizer, organic fertilizer, and so on and so forth. No? So, traditional sciences rarely dealt with the subject seemingly considered so commonplace. Another history of agricultural science, although much was written about agriculture during the Middle Ages, the agricultural sciences did not then gain a place in the academic structure. Hindi pa pala siya, during Middle Ages, hindi pa siya sinasama as subject. Philosophy, mga pinag-aaralan doon. Engineering, astronomy, and other sciences, but not yet agricultural science. But eventually, a movement began in Central Europe to educate farmers in special academies. Special pa, ibig sabihin, agricultural schools. The earliest of which was established at Castelli, Hungary in 1796. Students were still taught only the experiences of farmers. Wala pang eksperimento yan. Kwento-kwento lang. Itong si farmer, itong ginagawa, gayahin mo. Subukan nyo. Itong ginagawa niya. But in 1840, certain person, Justus von Liebig, the scientific approach was inaugurated in 1840 by Justus von Liebig of Darmstadt, Germany. Mag-anak to ni Hitler, siguro, kababayan. His classic work, The Organische in ihrer Anwendung of Agriculture, Chemie, Physiology, whatever. Ibig sabihin pala niyan, organic chemistry in its application to agriculture and physiology. In 1840, he launched the systematic development of agricultural science. So pasalamat tayo rito sa German person na ito, kay Liebig, because he is the first person na nagsimula nitong agricultural science, German. And in US, if you look at the right side, the picture, familiar face, he is became President of the United States, Abraham Lincoln. Ano bang ginawa nitong si Abraham Lincoln? He said, the land-grant university system is being built on behalf of the people who have invested in these public universities, their hopes, their support, and their confidence. So, itong si President Abraham Lincoln ay nagsimulang mag-allocate ng mga lupa para sa agriculture. At ito'y binigay by a special act, moral act, as early as 1862, na binibigyan ng lupa ang mga agricultural schools or universities. It says here, trusted research, local educators extending knowledge, providing solution. This is from the American. So agricultural colleges came into being in the United States during the second half of the 19th century. In 1862, President Abraham Lincoln signed the Morrill Act, under which Congress granted to each state, bawat state, 30,000 acres or equivalent to 12,141 hectares. Malalaking lupain ito of land for each representative and senator for the endowment, support, and maintenance of at least one college. Ganun dito sa Pilipinas ngayon ay ginrant din tayo. Remember, ang Cavite State University, hindi siya basta na lang sumulpot. Ito ay produkto ng isang batas. Pag sinabi nating batas, ito ay pinirmahan, nakapasa sa Congress ng mga congressman. Tapos kinakailangang same or similar bill or proposal ay ipapasa rin sa Senate. And then pareho silang nag-propose, pero siyempre magkaiba ang kanilang version. Magmi-meeting yung dalawang grupo na yan to come up with a single proposal. Then pagbobotohan nila, yung bill na yon would, pag nakapasa sa kanila, magiging isang batas na siya, provided na siya ay mapipirmahan ng presidente ng Pilipinas. At ganun kahaba ang naging proseso ng Cavite State University and all other universities in the Philippines na under ng government, ng Commission on Higher Education. Mahabang proseso. So you need to convince yung congressman na mag-file ng bill na ang school na ito ay propose natin na maging state university, and then magpagdidebatehan yan kasi some people would not agree, some people would say sa kayo kukuha ng pera, additional budget yan. So, ganon. Pero sasabihin siyempre ng bill, kailangan natin to, importante ang agriculture. Masyadong malayo ang colleges na available dito sa province na ito. Tatawid probinsya pa, malayo pa ang itatravel ng mga interesadong estudyante. So why not itong lugar na ito, Calabarzon or Mimaropa, maglagay tayo ng isang state college dito that could serve as avenue natin sa pag-open ng isang universidad. Ngayon, kapag nagawa na yan, wala nang susunod pang state college na magkakadalawaro sa lugar na yun. Normally, isa lang. So, yung probinsya na yon magkakaroon ng isang State College. Kaya ang Cavite State University, walang Cavite State University 2. No? Isa na lang. Ngayon, paano yung Cavite City gusto rin magkaroon ng college o gusto rin magkaroon ng university? Ang layo naman, magbibiyahe papuntang Indang. Bago dumating, alas 12 na. So, what happened is that pag bubukas na lang tayo doon ng mga branches. So, yung ginawa ng mga congressman, meron ng existing na school doon sa Cavite City. So, inintegrate, pinalitan ng pangalan, isinama na sa sistema ng Cavite State University. And ganyan ang naging istorya kung paano nagkaroon ng marami, I think 11 na yata tayo or 12 na mga several or different branches ng Cavite State University is spread all over ng Cavite. Okay? So, ganun yung batas. So, let's go now to the soil and water sciences. No? Soil and water sciences deal with the geological and generation of soil. By the way, isa sa mga special courses yung soil science. Kung gusto nyo after ng 4 years, pwede pa kayong pumasok ulit, magmamaster kayo soil science so that kung kayo ay maging ang profession nyo, hindi siya profession as an agriculturist, kundi agriculturist kayo pero you are specializing in soil science. Yan yun. Meron naman water science. Yung water science naman, meron din tayo niya sa university. ENSAI, Environmental Science. Can you imagine, halos itong lahat ng mga ilog dito sa Cavite na mapa na ng ating mga kasamahan dyan sa Environmental Science. Marami ng research dyan. Alam na nila kung aling mga ilog sa Cavite, pati yung nasa lowland, ang degree ng kanilang health ng mga ilog. At narinig ko na yung isa sa mga presentation dyan that ang lowland area, yung Imus, Bacoor, ang water ang tubig dyan, not fit for human consumption. Hindi mo nga pwedeng ipaligo. In fact, may mga lugar dyan, di ba rin pwedeng ididig sa halaman it will kill the plants dahil sa tindi ng contamination, ng toxicity, at saka yung mga microorganism harmful to humans. No? So, taas ng coliform. Minomonitor nila yan. That is water science. So, paano itong water science? Geological generation of soil. No? Pag sinabing geological, you're talking about the thousands of years ago, paano na-develop itong lupa, saan ang galing yan. Soil and water physics and chemistry, composition yan. So, pinag-uusapan dyan. Medyo science talang chemistry and all other factors relevant to soil fertility. No? I will not deal with that kasi merong kayong magiging subject talaga dyan sa soil science fertility. No? Soil science began with the formulation of the theory of humus in 1809. Ayan, magiging pag-uusapan dyan humus. Meron pang sinasabing humic acid. Ano ang humus? Is it a good form of soil? Ito ba yung hinahanap ng halaman? Ito ba yung rich in organic matter? Ito ba yung maraming mga organism na beneficial? Ito ba yung loose? Ito ba anong klaseng lupa? So, you will be talking about that in the coming semesters. But let us leave it as it is by now. You will understand humus. A generation later, what is one generation? Could be something like 10 years or 100 years. Century and 100 years. A generation is something like 10 years. living, introduced experimental science. Ito na yung sinasabi ko sa inyo, experimental. Including a theory of the supply of soil with mineral nutrients in the 20th century. No? A general theory of soil fertility developed. Yan. Bigyan, papanday, patumigil yung basketball, panday naman. Lisensya na kayo dyan. Fertility developed, embracing soil cultivation, the enrichment of soil with humus, again, I-mention na naman, and nutrients, and the preparation of soil accordance with crop demand. So, you could imagine that humus is important characteristic ng lupa, and we are actually looking for that. No? Ito yung, kung kulang sa humus ang lupa mo, you have to create supplement. Maraming ng technology about that. No? So, na-discover nila kasi base ro sa mga nababasa kong history, no? Maraming events, past events, yung tinatawag na hunger, yung nagugutom ang mga tao because of famine. Famine because of failure of crops. Ano? So, etong ang mga curious people began studying bakit nagkakaroon ng famine, taggutom. In fact, kaya naka-picture dito itong patatas na ito. Because there was, I think, nasa mga discussion and sa susunod na slides, nagkaroon ng matinding taggutom sa parte ng Europe. Because during that time, staple food na nila ang potato. At nagkaroon ng potato ring blight. Parang pasik, napapasik yung nabubulok. So you ended up with no harvest at all. And since ito ang kanilang parang rice, noong nag-fail ang kanilang major crop, potato, nagutom ang mga tao. So they started looking for ways para ma-prevent ito. Soil and water research have made possible the use of all classes of plant. No? Pag sinabing all classes of plant, including including yung mountains, no? Including yung worst condition desert, no? Meron niyang lupa mo, okay na okay siya, pero ang soil cover ay napakaliit. Pag siguro mga 4 inches, ano na siya, bato na siya o buga na siya. So, na-classify ang bawat lupa, no? Trivia lang. China is the biggest country in the world. No? Pag sama-samahin mo pa ang ilang bansa, including America, i-plus mo ang Europe yata at saka ang Mexico. Pag sama-samahin mo at ikumpara mo, ipatong mo yung mapa sa China, mas malaki pa rin ang China. Ganon siya kalaki. And but the irony of it is that ang China, only 54% lang ang natitirhan ng mga tao. The rest, walang population. Kung meron man, very minimal, 1 or 2%. The reason is that napakalaki ng area niya na desert. Tapos another area, mountainous area na hindi mo, even humans could not survive because of harsh condition, extreme weather. So talagang ang habitable area lang ng China is around more than barely half, kalahati lang. So doon na-concentrate ang population, doon din na-concentrate ang agriculture. But hindi din ganun kalaki kumpara sa totality ng China ang fit for agriculture. No? Yan yung pag tinignan natin, bakit na laki-laki ng China tapos gusto pa niyang mag-expand, gusto pa niyang kuhanin yung ibang area, gusto pa niyang i-grab, parang land grabbing, pati mga islands natin nakukuha niya. Why? There's some explanation. lumalaki kasi ang kanilang population, then they have to come up with an idea paano magkakaroon ng sustainable na pagpapakain dito. So, they actually predicted na magkakaroon ng food shortage in the very near future. So, ngayon pa lang pinaghahandaan na nila. May mga napapanood akong video whereas nakukonvert nila ang mga non-arable area into productive areas. At ang unang gumawa kasi niyan ay ang Israel. So Israel has the technology like yung sa Netapim irrigation. Kaya minsan soilless, wala nang lupang ginagamit. Mababad sa fluid. So these are products, actually, those are the result of an initial problema. Hindi kakain. So you have to think of ways to solve the problem. And kapag ka nakakita ka ng pagkakataon na hindi pa nasusubukan sa anywhere else in the world at in-undergo mo ng experiment, pagkatapos it proved to be true in some other conditions, totoo ngang nangyayari, then it becomes a science. It becomes first a technology. No, a technology could be true to, let's say, a particular area lang muna. No? Ngayon, pwede mong i-import ang technology, let's say sa Israel, gamitin mo rito sa Pilipinas. Minsan hindi siya applicable, pero the technology is okay sa Israel, pero sa Pilipinas okay din, kaya lang maraming problems like yung technology ng greenhouse using artificial intelligence. Kaso, hindi siya gaanong applicable because the investment cost hindi kaya ng mga ordinary farmers. Masyadong mahal siya. Tapos yung kanyang mga replacement parts, you have to import it na naman. Naku, tagal bago dumating. Plus the cost, of course. So, any technology could be localized. Pwedeng doon siya uubra, no? Sa isang lugar. Not always true, but there are facts, there are theories, there are methods na kahit pabali-baligtarin mo, kahit saan mo ilagay na lugar, totoo, like let's say, paano kumukuha ng tubig ang halaman through its roots, kahit saan lugar, pare-pareho. Ganon, susipsipin ng root hairs, pupunta sa, dadaan mo sa either flower of xylem, pupunta sa stem, and finally to the leaves. Tapos, yung leaves ay makakakuha ng sunlight together with yung iba pang nutrients. Then, magkakaroon ng photosynthesis, makakabuo siya ng pagkain ng halaman. And meron tinatawag na opening, yung mata, pero nagko-close siya. Yan, totoo. To some plants. Pero merong ibang halaman naman, exempted. No? Mapapansin daw yan kapag berde ang dahon. Pero nakakakita na tayo ngayon ng sari-saring klase ng leaves na hindi naman berde. So there is an explanation how were they able to produce their food. So ngayon, kaya nga ang siyensya ay pinag-aralan yan because it is not always true to all. Kaya kina-classify. Itong klaseng ito, hindi mo siya po pwedeng i-grow directly under the sun kasi mamamatay siya. So they have to categorize yung sun-loving versus shade-loving. So that's the beauty of agricultural science. Because, let's say here, soil and water research have made possible the use of all classes of plant in more effective ways, while the control of soil erosion and deterioration has made other advances even more striking. Because the amount of water available for plant growth is one of the major limiting factors in crop production. Improved tillage and terracing, tillage, pabubungkal, terracing, yung parang hagdan, layer, have made or have been devised to conserve soil moisture. That's why if you look at the past pictures, yung rice terraces in Mountain Province, you would be surprised na hindi pala sa Mountain Province lang yan. Even in Asian China, pinapractice na yan. Sa Vietnam, meron din sila yan. So, it was discovered early times. And why it's so? To conserve soil erosion, and moisture also. Tinatap nila yung water doon sa taas, padadaluyin pababa. So, it talks about soil management, land use practices, has been developed to increase the infiltration of snow. Sa Pilipinas walang snow, but itong snow na ito ay problem yan sa mga highlands. Rain and irrigation water, thereby reducing losses caused by runoff. Ano yung runoff? Imagine, umulan. Yung nakikita nyong umaagos na tubig, hindi siya nakapenetrate sa ilalim. Yung umaagos na yon, you call it runoff. Kapag umagos na siya at lumaki yung volume ng runoff, you call it flood or may pressure yan. Nadadala niya yung mga soil sa ibabaw. That's why kapag ka naanod, ang problema, yung nasa ibabaw na yung topsoil, these are the good soil. Tapos kapag ka na-erode dyan, ma-expose yung mga not so good soil sa ibabaw to the point na bato na ang matitira. And it becomes now not, hindi na siya bagay sa agriculture. And ito pinag-aaralan. Now, it so happen na ito mga naanod na ito ng mga good soil would eventually land pupunta doon sa low-lying areas. Kasi ang tubig ay pag will have its way, will find its way because of gravity. Pupunta yan doon sa low-lying areas. Uuwi siya doon sa patag. Doon siya mag-i-stay hanggang sa maubos yung tubig. Together with the runoff soil, yung nadala niya, madideposit siya doon sa mga areas na yun. Normally, ang na-deposit na good soil, daan to sa mga flat area. So, kung magtataka kayo, bakit dito sa Pilipinas, meron tinatawag na Central Plain of Luzon, Tarlac, Cabanat, Nueva Ecija, in between mountains yan, nadala. So, doon na-deposit ang good soil. And it becomes venue, area for agriculture. Mapapansin nyo rin doon sa mga delta. Pag sinabing delta, ito yung bunganga actually, ito yung last part ng ilog na nakagkukonek na sa dagat. So imagine yung ilog, may daladala siya mga loose soil, madideposit na naman doon. Kaya, ang early civilization, matatagpuan nyo near the river and near the delta where yun din yung pinaghugpungan ng ilog at saka ng dagat. Because magandang lugar yon to establish ng isang community. You have the fresh water and now you have the seawater na mayroon ka makukuhang fish. So, tapos ang agriculture mo, mataba ang lupa, the crops would grow. Tapos yung ding travel mo, siyempre nung una, sea travel. Pwede rin river travel. So nakita lang mabilis ang movement dito. Plus all other things na kailangan mo, like fresh water, andun lang. So ganyan ang nangyari sa ating agriculture. That's why early civilization started on that areas. Public and private research into chemical fertilizers and soil management have made it possible for farmers to aid nature in making specific soils more productive. Remember my kwento early na noong nagsimula ng gumanda ang agriculture, ang harvest, no, people tend to have more surplus ng pagkain. So they could afford to look for another job sa city dahil they don't have to plant anymore para makakain. Ang gagawin na nila, they have to pay, they have to buy kasi may sweldo naman sila. Now, ang mangyayari ngayon dyan, because of that, bigla rin nag-increase ang population ng mga tao. And the demand of food has also increased rapidly. But the soil, yung land, hindi naman nag-i-increase. Yun pa rin siya. And because of the rapid planting, na maya't maya ay ginagamit mo siya, nagkakaroon na ng tinatawag na soil deficiency ng nutrients. And dito pumasok ngayon yung idea kung saan we have to supplement the soil. We have to think of chemistry as a way of regenerating. Kaya nga na-invento ngayon itong chemical fertilizer because yung creation of humus will take some time. Bubulukin mo siya. You have to collect so many substrates. At maraming iba hindi na matatrabaho ito because they are so busy with planting, harvesting, and preparing again the soil. So the science now focused on the instant, fast way of regenerating the soil. So public and private research into chemical fertilizer and soil management have made it possible for farmers to aid nature in making specific soils more productive. Much has been learned about using crop rotation, legumes, ito yung merong mga nodes na nagsusupply, nagre-replenish ng nitrogen and green manure for replenishing soil, humus, and nitrogen, determining and supplying the major and minor nutrients need of crops, and managing soil under irrigation, including salt control. Kasi nga, kanina nabanggit ko sa inyo, bakit yung salt control, it is related doon sa mga areas where malapit sa dagat. Kasi merong intrusion ng salt water sa mga areas na malapit sa dagat at hindi maganda ang resulta ng salt water sa halaman. So here, meron bang ano diyan? Bukas ang may narinig ako ritong sound, baka naka-open ang microphone diyan. Paki-check. All right, so here you have here a diagram of how atmosphere, the soil, the runoff, deposit. Ito yung binabanggit ko sa inyo kanina to the point na nagkaroon na ng science on how to supplement the soil. Also the science on how to control the insects, application of pesticides. But this becomes also integrated sa natural, so the totality ng ating ecosystem. Yan. Pesticides, these are toxic. Talking about again sa runoff, pupunta siya sa bodies of water and then eventually ended up dito sa ating water system. Meron tinatawag na through seepage or leaching. So napupollute ang water. And then it becomes part of the problem. Yung dating solution ng paggamit ng chemical fertilizer, paggamit ng pesticide, becomes a solution for a time but also becomes a problem later on. Nag-accumulate. Because paulit-ulit lang, let's say itong water natin, knowing the science of water system, nagiging parte siya. So, solutions in the past becomes problems in the present, in the future. So techniques based on these findings have been put to use on farms to improve soil fertility and increase crop yields. Between 1940 and 1965, for example, farmers in the United States more than tripled their use of chemical fertilizer. Sumikat. Sabi, maganda nga pala ito. Resulting in increase of 50 to 150% in crop yield. So very good. No? Soil and water research can also help limit the amount of runoff artificial fertilizers into nearby bodies of water by timing their application with climatic conditions and using precise amount in controlled applications. So agrochemical runoff remains a major source of water pollution. Yun yung isang naging problem. And further research is needed to improve practices and reduce the impact of industrial agriculture in the environment. That's why we have the environmental science. We trace because we want to see the future maging sustainable so that yung current nating situation ngayon ma-improve at ma-enjoy ng future generation. That is sustainability. Scientists have used many sophisticated techniques to unlock vast storehouse of knowledge about plants. Okay, let's talk about plants. In one case, chemicals tagged with radioactive isotopes were employed to follow the process by which plants take up soil nutrients to synthesize their fruits, grains, vegetables, nuts, flowers, and fibers. Let me focus on this one. This is interesting. Radioactive isotopes. Okay, matakot to sa radioactive isotopes. Ang tanong ngayon, paano natin-trace itong mga chemicals na ito? Paano natin malalaman yung saan siya pumupunta? No? Na-discover itong science ng radioactive isotopes. Just imagine this one. Yung chemicals na yan, yung chemical na yan, isasama mo sa water, ididilig mo siya doon sa roots, no? And then you take
We are
Group
1, which focuses mainly on SDG 13 climate action. So my name is Ruth.
Hello. Merong isang bukas ang na nagre-report yata sa ibang subject. Okay, close. So here is a picture. This is parang scan or an x-ray kung saan yung red one na yun represent specific chemical na titrace. So malalaman mo ngayon yung uptake, no? Plant take up phosphorus containing compounds, no? So inihalo sa phosphorus from the soil through the roots by adding a small amount of radioactive phosphorus -32 or phosphorus 32 to fertilizer and then measuring the rate of which radioactivity appears in the leaves, it is possible to calculate the rate of uptake of phosphorus from the soil. Ganyan ang science. May-measure na ngayon ganun karami ang take up, no? By using, siyempre hindi naman to lahat ng halaman lalagyan. Ito yung eksperimento lamang para malaman. Ito ginagamit din sa ginagamit din sa tao, no? Merong ipaiinom sa iyo na radioactive na fluid, pag nainom mo, makikita kung saan siya pumupunta sa parte ng katawan mo kapag in-scan ka. So, merong portion, I think, kung hindi siya nakakarating doon sa isang dapat makarating na parte ng katawan ng tao, meron siyang teorya na baka block yung artery mo, baka block yung dinadaanan ng dugo. So, isang indication yun. O baka hindi ka nakakakaroon ng proper uptake. So, ito'y ginagamit as test, no? Science has that. So, you have the soil, you have the water, and then we go to the plant science. I think this one would be longer. No, mahaba-haba ito. So I will leave it na muna. We will cut off doon sa dalawang science na yon, ng soil at saka ng water science. And next meeting natin, we will talking about the plant science. What, ito na ngayon, halaman na. Then, siyempre, kung may plant, susunod naman na animal science. Of course, the catch here is that we will not be discussing too much details. This is a bird's eye view. This is generalization so that we can connect everything on a larger scale. Agriculture as a whole. And then subjects are offered base sa bawat isang sciences na ito. Okay, so thank you very much for your time, for your listening. Medyo hindi ko na hinabaan ngayon because baka medyo ano pa kayo, nawili pa sa vacation. So we will be talking about plant sciences next meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you po, sir.
Thank you po, sir. Thank you
Thank you
po.
po, sir.
Good morning po.
Thank you po. Good morning po.
Okay. So, yung resulta ng inyong
Thank you
midterm,
po, sir.
ipopost ko na lang. Okay, salamat.
Yes, sir. Ano yun, sir?
Popost ko na lang yung resulta ng midterm exam.
Okay, sir.
Okay
Thank you.
po. Thank you po.
Okay.
Kaya, recorded pa to. Huwag kayong ano.